In a world full of noise and endless distractions, where the city never sleeps and voices compete to be heard, one podcast dares to cut through the chaos. Welcome to the Oracle 19 podcast, where truth meets thought and bold ideas spark conversations that shape our urban world.
Welcome to a brand new podcast. And this is Oracle 19. And my name is Mr. Greatness. Now, if you have a business and if you want to put your business, expand your business throughout social media, you can email us at evolutionoflondon@gmail.com and we can set that up for you. We are in 80 countries now worldwide. Proud to say that. Keep on expanding. 80, yes, 80 countries. All different platforms. iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, Spotify for creators, Amazon Music. And for general inquiries, you can email us also at the Oracle19 at the Oracle19radio.com. And you can support us with the different links, the different affiliates that we have. www.linktree.com/evolution of London. We have a Patreon channel which we have videos that's not posted on YouTube. We have digital artwork and we do consulting services as well. www.patreon.com/evolution of London. Or you can contact us through email like I mentioned previously, evolutionoflondon@gmail.com. You can check out our 3 websites and shop online. www.evolutionoflondon.org, O-R-G, evolutionoflondon.com, evolutionoflondon.store. Over 10,000 products in total. Over 10,000. So it's shipped directly to your house. Straight. Some people ask, hey, you tell me you got 10,000 products in your house? No. It's a warehouse we have, and it's shipped directly to you. I don't have the 10,000 products in my house, and if one thing is sold, I got to run through my closet and look through. No. It's a warehouse. So support us in different ways. You can support us as well. Like, subscribe, and share to our YouTube channel, the Greatness 19 channel, Mr. Evolution of London, Mr. MR period, Evolution of London, our health and wellness channel. Support us that way and check out the great shows that's on those channels as well. We definitely will appreciate that. Check out the company Royalty 9 International. They make homemade candles, 100% soy wax, 12-ounce jars, from scented to unscented. Now the scented candles are from frankincense, myrrh, jasmine, eucalyptus, rose, just to name a few. So check out the luxury candles, over 35 plus burning hours. Email the company at royalty9international@gmail.com. And you can find them on Instagram at TikTok. I call it TikTok. Royalty 9 International. Mr. Will, he's been a fitness consultant for over 15 years. So if you want to book a consultation, email him at healthfitnessconsultant1@gmail.com. Music. Cheap Limousine channel on YouTube. We have a whole wide range of different beats. Like, subscribe, and share to Cheap Limousine channel on YouTube. And check out his other social media sites once you go to his channel. Again, like, subscribe, and share to Cheap Limousine channel on YouTube. Now, as I mentioned, the Oracle 19, we're on all major platforms. We're on iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, Spotify, Spotify for Creators, Amazon Music, just to name a few. We all over. So definitely you can find us. You can literally Google, type in the Oracle 19 podcast, and you'll find us there. As well as Rumble, rumble.com. Just type in the Oracle 19 on rumble.com. Or finally, our internet radio. We have shows there, www.theoracle19radio.com. All right, well, let's get right to it. This is something we all can understand. The school system needs to change. Straight up. School system needs to definitely change. Is we're really failing our youth currently and in the future. School system is outdated. Their curriculum is some in these schools like 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. Same type of script that they pass to the teachers. And I was watching a show previously, and a gentleman mentioned that he didn't learn anything from school. I mean, he's successful. Now, which is true, school is not for everybody. This is why you need to make the school system, the subjects more practical. I'll give you an example. In elementary school, even in lower grades, grade 6, grade 5, for even first grade, you should have a class in business on a low level. What I mean by that is, obviously, you can't teach first graders like how you would teach adults. But you have a class in business, making kids in the elementary school learn maybe how to spell the word business, learn how to spell economics, words. And in the junior high school, you have classes in business. And I'm just going to get to this, just class in business. I'm going to get to other subjects in a minute. But you teach them in these grades from elementary school, junior high school, and high school, especially in high school, a class in business, how to be self-sufficient, learn how to save and ways to save, and business classes in being an entrepreneur. That'd be part of the business course. You teach them practical stuff for the world. Because yes, social studies is good, knowing history, but that is not going to have you survive in this economy. So you must have a class in business to teach the youth how to save and what to do with their money and so forth, so on. And that's practical things. Practical course will keep the keep the students interested. How to make money. in a practical way. Because the kids is not learning anything, and they're not even going to school. And if they do go to school, they're not even really paying attention to the teachers. First of all, the teachers is burnt out, many of them. We're going to get to the classes in a minute, or subjects in a minute. They underpaid. They really are. For the garbage they got to go through day in, day out. It's like school is like one big daycare. First of all, the students is unruly, out of control. They smoking and drinking and in the schools, in the bathrooms. Look, I know this just hearing this from, my children telling me. And then other family members of mine, younger cousins. Hey, they tell me what's going on in high school, junior high school. They learn nothing. The children that is interested in school, they just learning the scraps, I call it school, the scraps. Old curriculum, just trash teachers, and just a system that is basically, they just going through the motions. Because all the classes that you take, 99.9% of them, you can't even apply it to your life. You can't really apply algebra. Now, algebra is important, I think, just to know, but it's not applicable in life. Same thing with calculus. Yeah, just in terms of math, it's not applicable unless you're going to be a science major, unless you're a scientist, chemist, working in the lab. And it's only in certain labs at that. You don't need, when you're working at Wendy's, the history of European history. It's not going to be necessary to flip burgers. Or if you work at the call center, just basic reading skills and basic math skills that just count is what you need. You're not going to need to learn about Socrates, one of the philosophers in history. So a lot of these classes is insignificant. It really is. This is why most children in society are dumb, uneducated. They get bored. It's not interesting. The teacher's not interested. And it shows. Teachers don't care. Students don't care. The whole system. So it ends up being one big daycare. Kids is there from just 8:30 to 2:30 or 9 to 3, and that's it. Most of these children is uneducated. They don't know, and then they don't know anything about life. Business courses is necessary, and you start at a young elementary school level. Very important. Another class you should be teaching them, a class in trade. Have a trade. That's needed badly. All schools should have trade schools, trade classes, learning a trade. All schools. That makes the world go around. And you pick electrical. Now, some schools have that, very few, but all schools, it should be just mandatory. You have an option learn, carpentry or plumbing, electrical. And then the kid could pick. Or be mandatory in schools to learn a trade. And you have to pick one of those classes. At least if you don't, go to and advance your career in plumbing or electrical or carpentry, you could be able to do the basics in your house. At least. Advanced classes in those subjects or those trades as well. You have to implement that. Now, people say, Mr. Greatness, that costs a lot of money. Well, kids is you're spending money anyway. City's spending money anyway, and really getting nothing out of it. They spending money in schools, nothing they're getting out of it. They also should tighten up on the discipline, allowing things to be in school. Now, yeah, people that kids sneak in all different types of things, drugs and weapons. Now that's tricky because now the parents, kids is really not disciplined like they used to be. See, that comes from home first. The behavior of these kids. See, the whole world is messed up, especially, I should say, in North America. The teachers is not paid. They're underpaid for all of the nonsense they got to go through. They can't really, no, let me say can't really. They can't put their hands on the kids like how it was in the yesteryears. So these kids is unruly from the jump. Now, something will have to give. Let's backtrack before I continue about implementing certain subjects. Something has to give. I haven't figured all of it out, but I'm just throwing examples because I know this could be debated. You have a lot of unruly kids they're not disciplined in any type of way by their parents because their parents is undisciplined. Okay? So we understand that. That's why the system needs to change. You can't have you heard this saying before, some of you. You can't have a bad apple spoiling the bunch. Just because you are a minor, they make it mandatory. You gotta be in school. You have to, unless you get special permission to be home true. Okay, we understand this, but school's supposed to be a privilege. School's supposed to be a place of higher learning, building towards your future, giving you discipline, giving you direction. This is what school's supposed to be, to educate you for the future. This is what school's supposed to be. So you need to lay a foundation to be able to be in school. Okay, I'm going to walk you through my opinion and lead them back into the businesses or the subjects in school that's needed. But I think this is a starting point. If your child is unruly, just a bad seed, and just causing problems, bringing in weapons and drugs and just a real just a real bad seed and getting in trouble in school constantly. I mean, just one of those knucklehead, gangster-minded individuals, boy or girl. And you know who they are, ladies and gentlemen. You can get an idea of what I'm saying. I don't think if they're a bad seed, they shouldn't be allowed in school. Point blank, period. Even if they're minor, that's their parents have to have some type of foundation for these children. Not just because they are 9 years old, 8 years old, they have to be in school and they're causing trouble and making it difficult for the teachers. If they are that unruly and there's no hope for that individual 8-year-old, 7-year-old, 6-year-old, 5-year-old, whatever, then he or she should be banned from going to school until further notice, until they could, the mother or father could prove that this child is now under control. Otherwise, child can't go to school. You have to discipline. You have to teach your child, not literally teach, but you got to discipline your child in some type of way to prepare. Now, here's where the catch-22 is, where people say, well, Mr. Greatness, the laws out here, if I put my hands on the child, they will take my children away. That is true. And that's really the messed up system of life in North America too. It's in my opinion, is my opinion here, is all part of a conspiracy to really destroy the minds of children. Starts at home. You can't discipline your child. You can't in any type of way. So, and then the government tells your children indirectly and directly, if your parents is touching you, I'm not meaning touching you, meaning hitting you, putting their hands on you, you contact us and we take them away. Well, where are you going to take them away? You put them in basically a boarding school with owned by the city and state, a whole bunch of delinquent children. If we, let's just place fantasy island here. If we all parents discipline our children and we all get the children taken away, where would the children go? Some type of jail, right? Where the government will have all control of the children. And then where will the parents go? What the government really want to do in this situation? If all of us parents discipline our children, so that means child services have to go to all of us and then take all of our children away, over millions of children away throughout North America. Where would they go? Would they go to jail? And then we go to jail too? Is this how the government is setting it up? Just think about it. It's not a room to put all of us in jail. So everybody goes to jail? It seems to me that they want to make people slaves and control the minds. If the future, meaning the children, is unruly and undisciplined, that means there's no future. That 1% could control the minds of the population because we unruly. And we have no discipline, no structure, no learning skills. Only what they tell us. So where are we going with all of this? It starts from home. But if you have a bad apple, I do think you can't let that bad apple, that individual child, spoil the bunch in school with other students that want to learn. And I do think teachers have to have some type of, like the olden days, some type of not opportunity, but grounds they to put their hands on these kids, and not to really, knock them out, but these children just see. Children have to know fear. They gotta be fearful, in my personal opinion. Fear brings respect. Be patient with me, guys. I'm gonna get back into the school system. I'm just going to get into the source of everything, and I'm gonna bring it right there. So just walk with me. If children do not have fear of parents, and we're not talking about fear where they feel that their life is in danger, they're going to be beaten up, we're not talking about certain extreme situations. Fear brings respect. That goes in life. You fear a job. That's why you make sure you come in on time, you leave on time, you do as you're told, because you fear if you don't do the right thing, you will be fired. That's a different type of fear. Fear brings respect. You respect the company, that's why you do what you're told so you can get paid. That is fear. Fear brings respect. And children do not fear parents because they've been told by the government, locally, federal, state, so forth, that they don't have to fear. If they do, if any problems, we take care of you. And see, I don't roll that way. Fear brings respect. Fear brings respect. Now, I'm not going to choke slam you and do all the extreme, but what some people will do, I'm not talking about myself, I'm just saying some other people, they have this mindset is, if you don't follow and obey me, you out the door. And they got to believe that. It's just not saying that. They got to be about that life. I'm talking about a parent. I kicked you out at 8 years old. I'm not speaking of myself, of course. I'm talking about parents and children relationships and how some parents believe. If you don't obey me, you got to go. And it is believable, even at a young age. If you don't believe, or if you don't obey me, I kick the living ish out of you. I didn't curse. I kick the living ish out of you. And those kids gotta believe that. And they gotta know that's part of the menu. Not hearsay. That's a reality. And if they believe that, see, I stand on business, me personally, but other people, I'm not even talking about myself, other people got to know. Kids got to know. If you're going to be unruly and you're going to be talking back to adults, and you talk back to me, I'm punching you in the face. I'm knocking your teeth, and I won't pay for the dentist. If you don't obey me, I'm not buying you no clothes. You have to do something else. I'm talking about at a young age. I'm not going to feed you and clothe you and you can't follow, obey me, and you talking back to me. That's wild. You don't want to learn, you don't want to listen, but yet and still you coming into my house and you comfortable? You comfortable. You sleep comfortable. You talk back to me. I'm talking about as kids. You talk back to adult, but then you go into your same mother or father's house and you sleep comfortable. You're not sleeping comfortable in my house. Now I'm telling you my house. You think you're gonna sleep comfortable in my house? You think you're gonna talk crazy to me and then you're gonna go to sleep and you're gonna be comfortable? Well, guess what? I'm gonna make the house real uncomfortable for you, day and night. You could bank on that. Now I'm speaking of myself. You could bank on that. The house will be real uncomfortable for you in many different ways. From when you thinking at midnight it's gonna be uncomfortable. 3 in the morning it's gonna be uncomfortable. When you wake up, it be uncomfortable. You think you're going to the kitchen to eat, you're uncomfortable. You thinking you're gonna put on the clothes that I bought for you, you're gonna be uncomfortable. Oh, you thinking you're just gonna come back home and everything is gonna be right and you could talk back and it's just whatever. No, you're gonna be whatever, uncomfortable, whatever freaking ever. You figure out what Mr. Greatness will do. Ad lib on that one. But you're not gonna be comfortable. You're gonna be very uncomfortable. So you will be disciplined in this house, or you're gonna be uncomfortable. And nobody likes to be uncomfortable. Nobody likes to be uncomfortable physically or mentally or emotionally. You're not going to be comfortable. So something will have to give. Most likely you will have to go. Because I'm not going to be uncomfortable. So, and I'm paying for you, somebody's going to be uncomfortable. And it won't be me. So, it starts at home. So, fear brings respect. Bottom line. So, we in a messed up society where government is implementing what they should do, what you should do with your children. But excuse me, but I'm not that type of guy. And parents, you don't need that be that type of person either. Not if you paying bills. Money is tight out here. Oh, excuse me for a minute. Just had to have some water here. Money is tight. You can't just allow anybody just to come in your house or be in your house or live in your house and family, friends, folk, kids, whatever, and just make life for you uncomfortable and you gotta pay for them. Kids is a one big bill anyway. I love children, no problem. But at least I love my children. Let me pause on that. I don't love your children. I love mine, but I don't love yours. But I have respect for children. I do, but not the unruly ones. So if, in retrospect, pushing forward, if you cannot have a structure and the kids is unruly, they don't need to be in the school. They should be banned from school. Well, Mr. Greatness, how are they going to learn? Well, they're not learning anyway. You put them in school and they just staring at the blackboard and they unruly, giving the teachers a problem. Teachers is just babysitting them anyway because they're not comprehending it, nor are they willing to comprehend. They're unruly. So why should they even be in the school? You're forcing the children, you're forcing the parents to figure it out about how they should discipline their child to get back in school. Not just they be unruly and they rolling on the ground. I'm talking about at a young age, and they roll on the ground at the parents' house, and they rolling on the ground at the school, and the teachers have no control. They can't touch them, can't do anything. They just like little Johnny rolling on the floor, and crying, and the teacher can't even can't definitely discipline, nor can the teacher teach, because little Johnny or a whole bunch of Johnnies is acting unruly. So why should they even be in the school? They are bad apples, bad apples that's spoiling the bunch. Get them out of here permanently until the parents can show and prove that the child is in order, or figure out the home teach them, because it's unfair to the other students. So let's start. I'm starting with the discipline to push all the way with the classes, the important classes, the important subjects that the children need to take. And all of that, allowing high schoolers and junior high schoolers to be smoking and all of that stuff, vaping, and, basically junkies on the campus. You caught in the bathroom smoking, you're getting kicked out. Straight like that. Can you go to a job, even though you got people that smoke, in a section? Can you go in the bathroom at a job and smoke and vape? So why are they allowing the children to be going in the bathroom and smoking and vaping? There's ways that you can get around that, personally. I know some hardcore answers to it, but I just say this: if you caught with vaping and smoking and all of that, school's supposed to be for learning, and stop now out here. School is supposed to be a place of discipline, learning structure towards your future. And if you don't have that structure, you coming in and you just want to fight, you want to just curse, and you want to just smoke and drink and all of this stuff at the school, especially I'm speaking of high school, you kick them out. Can you go to a job and do this at the job? Smoke and drink and curse, fight? School's supposed to be a place to build for your future, to discipline you for your future. And there's no future if you're allowing that. Now you said, Mr. Greatness, how avoid that? Well, you guess for one thing, you have bathroom monitors, not bathroom monitors. You got people in the bathroom. If you go to a fancy restaurant, or if you're at a club, maybe some of you can relate to this. You have a person in there, and they pass you a towel to wipe your hands and stuff like that. I'm just throwing things out there. You have maybe a person in school in the bathroom. I don't know. Maybe that might be too much a privacy issue or whatever, but there's always a way. Maybe check these kids' purses and bags. Teachers do random checks. I mean, school is like a jail anyway. I haven't always figured it out yet, but there's ways, though. Everything is a way. You have to check these kids' bags and say, well, it's a private issue. But, well, some of these public schools, because it have metal detectors and They go through the bags and stuff. So you might have to implement that. But all of this extra freedom and allowing them to do things, it shouldn't be, because these kids is unruly and they undisciplined and they're not willing to learn. Most of them. This is why also you have to step up with tighter ways in school. Checking these kids random checks, checking their bags. Teachers need to check bags and stuff. No vapes allowed. No cigarettes allowed. You too young anyway. You need to do those things and focus on learning, not vapes, and weapons and all this extra makeup and all. You know, you're supposed to be there to learn. That's where it's supposed to be. Certain dress code should be implemented. You know, school's supposed to be a place of discipline, teaching you of for your future. That's why it's called school, right? You can't be out here. I see young girls out here. You know, I personally, I would say, you gotta ban certain things. No vapes, no cigarettes, definitely no weapons. Girls focus too much on makeup coming in there. You 13, 14, 12. You got all this makeup. You focusing all on this makeup and eyeliner and all of this other stuff, and you're not focusing on education. You focus on looking pretty. You just learned to finish wiping your behind just a couple of years ago. And you weren't about dressing up. You see these girls in mini skirts, micro mini skirts. It's one big distraction. No, you dressing appropriately. You don't need to see little stinky behinds. You wear tight clothing. You don't need to see all of that. How many schools you even? Where's the dresses? It should be a day or 2 days where it's mandatory for all girls to wear a dress. And we're not talking about tight fitting dress. You putting discipline in their minds with these basics. Learn to cover up. Before we even get to the subjects, taking courses at school, come in a disciplined mindset, ready for education. These Catholic schools, in terms of their dress code, it's like a joke. Because these girls have micro mini skirts on. What are we doing? What are we doing? No, a full dress, down to the knee, like Little House on the Prairie. Even the public school, at least twice a week. Because you're teaching these girls to be feminine, learning how to be modest. You got to take it back in terms of discipline. Now that also with the boys too. You know, dressing proper. You got to have that implemented as well before you even take the class. See, this brings discipline and structure. That's why it's called school. That's why it's called high school, junior high school, elementary school. This is supposedly preparing you for your future. So you gotta go backwards with the basics in order to go forward. Now, going forward is trade school courses, classes where you learn in the trade. You start learning at elementary school, the basics, not things advanced, of course, just basics. Etiquette classes, that's definitely needed. Learn it for boys and girls, learning how to cook, learning how to clean, learning how to sit, learning how to pick up a fork and knife. That is necessary. This is life. We need life courses, classes, life classes, structure. See that among the I call the BS classes, but you need definite mandatory life classes. That's going to help you. Like, for example, the etiquette class for men and women. How to speak to people. Like you in class, like, for example, you don't burp like you're an animal in front of people on purpose after you eat or drink. This is etiquette class. I get girls that be burping like truck drivers. That's not ladylike. These is etiquette classes. Know how to sit. Know how to say excuse me. No, it should actually be in a course on that, a class in that, etiquette for boys and girls. And you teach that at a young age. You got to take it in elementary school, and junior high school, and high school, and that's a mandatory class for children. So when they leave high school and go to college, you have that. And you should maybe have an etiquette class in colleges and universities, because you got people from different parts of the world that really, they used to sitting down on the ground and eating, and walking in the fields in their feet. Okay, this is not your country. You hear it's concrete. We among different groups, so etiquette classes is needed for them too. Should have courses, basic courses that is needed to take in college and university as well. Because we as citizens, we lost our way with how to say please and thank you. You hold the door. You're supposed to, holding the door for another person, that person should say thank you instead of just walking right by you. Etiquette, class, standards, that should be taught. That's mandatory in school. Let's start with that. And I mentioned business classes where kids can learn how to make money and how to save, how to be entrepreneurs in business, learning about their future. That'll bring more interest with the children. Teaching them what businesses is good with the times, because we in AI. Focusing on that. Businesses that can make you good money, and you teach that while they in school. So that will bring interest, because they living in the climate. So I said business and economics. And etiquette classes. That's two right off the jump. And trades. Okay, 3. Trade. Learning the trade. And then in history, especially in America, they still teaching Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas. I think they maybe just icing that out a little bit and saying, well, he didn't discover it, but he came over. I think they slowly coming to grips with that, but that's still being put out there. Christopher Columbus discovered America. Come on. Lies. In history classes, you teaching students lies. He didn't discover America. How you going to discover something and people was already here? You teach the truth about history. And if you want to get historical, you teach different class. You have different classes of different topics of history, because there's so many stereotypes other people believe. Like, for example, February, Black History Month, is taught in schools. They only talk about Martin Luther King. He's the forefront of Black History Month. Martin Luther King. That's it. You're not going through the list of Black inventors. That if you go to the Greatness 19 channel, now I'm gonna plug myself in, and you check out the shorts, there's a whole list of Black inventors I talked about that impacted everything in basic life, from refrigerators to traffic lights to lawnmowers to cell phones, math and science, that Black people, Black men and women created. So if you're going to zero in on Black History Month for all races to know, let's put aside Martin Luther King and Malcolm X for a minute. You're really not talking about Malcolm X per se, but Martin Luther King definitely. Let's get right down to it and teach that the real truth about the impact Black people have made in society. If you're going to talk about Black History Month. See, that needs to be implemented, but that's not. They just go through Martin Luther King. See, that would make things more interesting, so other races won't think, oh, dang, I didn't know Black people did that. Or they have some type of stereotypical mentality, thinking the only thing we doing is dancing and singing. And Black History Month, if you talk about Black people dancing and singing and stuff, we know we colorful people. We know we have that about us. But there's more to us, more to it than that. Go to the Greatness 19 channel and learn. And go into the education and knowledge section, or the shorts, YouTube shorts of the Greatness 19 channel, and you will understand all of that stuff, and you will find out Black people have done more than that if you're teaching something Black History Month. And here's another thing I think you need to scrap, is the LGBT to the fifth power. You know, you're implementing that in schools. You're pushing that agenda. You're being offensive because many people don't follow or don't believe in the LGBT to the fifth power. You're bringing confusion. What you do is your business. I don't care what you do. But what I do care about is you pushing the agenda to my children and many other children down our throat, pause, that we have to accept that. Just teach education, not teach agendas. Because if we're going to teach agendas, you might as well make it wide open with topics, with political topics and so forth. Keep politics and belief systems out of it. We just want to learn, teach the children the basics so they can grow up and be self-sufficient. Yes, you add on the math and calculus and so forth. That's I call fluff. And what I mean by fluff, that stuff, classes that majority people won't need. It's just knowledge. So I think you should have the physics and calculus and so forth, algebra in school, because that's part of knowledge. I classify that as knowledge, and knowledge is wisdom. You're supposed to be a well-rounded Renaissance type of man and woman coming out of school. So that's part of knowledge. I feel you should have that still. But you have to have the basic courses, even a class in health. Hygiene, that's part of the health class. That's definitely mandatory. Teaching kids how to wipe their behinds. You start in elementary school with health classes. Teaching women how to put on their pads and how often it should be changed, and how they should learn how to exfoliate their skin. Health, hygiene class. Because a lot of these little girls is nasty. And the same thing with the boys. They don't know how to wipe their behinds and stuff like that, and they don't know how to take baths and stuff. These need to be implemented, but guess what? The people that implement these curriculums, they don't take a bath themselves, and they nasty themselves. So there you go. But mandatory health classes, hygiene classes, is definitely mandatory. Kids how to iron you need a class in that. How to iron their clothes. See, they should know this at home, but their parents don't know how to iron their pants. They don't know how to put creases in their pants. They don't even know how to wash their clothes. I'm talking about the parents. So that makes it difficult. But if you need the basic classes like that. This will make the world a better place. This will create a better future for your children, cultivate their minds so they can be productive adults. Mandatory classes from elementary school, junior high school, health classes / hygiene. The basics, how to wash your clothes, what detergents you need. This is how you make your children well-rounded. If you teach an art, I learned this in art many moons ago. This is how I learned how to sew. Remember my teacher, his name was Mr. Maxon. Funny, I remember that first grade. Mr. Maxon. He taught us how to sew. He was gay, by the way. But he didn't implement his gayness. It wasn't holding up a gay flag. But we knew he was gay. I'm cool with that. He didn't hold up a flag, LGBT to the 5th power, fight the power, gays for life. It wasn't all of that. It was none of that. We knew he was gay. Very good art teacher. Appreciate him. The end. I'm cool with that. They taught us how to sew, and to this day I know how to sew manually with the thread and needle, because he taught us the designs, or how to design stuff, knit and stuff like that, And to this day, the basics. I know how to put a thread in and tie it, and I could sew clothes if I need to. I have a hole in my sock. I can sew it to this day. And then I learned that also from my mom as well. But I know how to sew. I know, and I learned that in school too. And we did art on top of that. That was a mix. I know how to iron my clothes. I know how to iron a shirt. I know how to tie a tie for the young boys. See, we disconnected with that. And even writing in cursive writing, script, that's a dying art. I know how to do it. The generation after me don't know how to write in script because they stopped it. Same thing knowing Roman numerals. These are the things we need to know. How to cook, clean, how to survive, boys and girls. You know how to go on your phone, though. You know how to go to YouTube, though. You know how to go to Facebook, though. X, though. Instagram, though. Tickety Top, though. You know how to do that. But you don't know how to cook, clean, wash. And this is why they need classes. Because the system has failed. The school system has failed. It's just one big daycare. This is why the kids come out of school and they stupid. And they don't care about being stupid. She can't learn nothing. Again, it's one big daycare. So you have to implement basics. And there's other basic classes I'm sure that y'all know that, you know, I could keep talking about this. Basic classes to learn how to be a productive citizen in life. And then you can have the fluff, I call it. The classes that really won't really mean too much, but that gives you knowledge in terms of life. And definitely social studies, it needs to be updated. Everything needs to be updated. Pay the teachers more money. You have to implement more discipline in the schools, more restrictions, not allowing certain things. I'm just giving you a recap. Dress code. You don't need distractions. I don't need to see little hot young girls, and I mean hot, and I'm talking about in a derogatory way. I'm not nothing perverted from that. Little girls running around here, they just learned how to wipe their, 13 years old, learn how to wipe their butt 3 years ago, running around here hot, thinking they hot, dressing, all revealing and stuff like that. Nah, they scrap all of that. Learn how to dress, girl. You're a little girl. Where's your mammy? Where's your pappy? You need to wear some dresses. It's a distraction. Everything is a distraction. These young boys running around here, want to be gangsters. And we're not talking about color thing. You're just children. All races in these schools. These boys want to be gangsters. And they don't even know history, how gangsters either got shot, killed, or jailed for life. These boys, instead of learning to be a gangster, learn how to read. Can you read? Young man, can you, not even young man, young boy, can you read? Do you know how to pull up your pants properly? These is basics. Basics. But again, as I alluded to in the beginning conversation, starts from home. And if there's no discipline at home, then there won't be no discipline at school. And guess what? They don't need to be in school. They should be banned. Because if they can't get it, they're going to be bad apples spoiling the whole bunch. If you dare just selling drugs in the schools, in the public schools, you don't need to be there. Banned. Shadow banned. Till you learn. You come into school with better disciplines. Young boys I'm talking about. And young girls. Again, I mentioned in terms of dress code should be mandatory. You just can't come in any type of way. Any type of way. Can you go to the job any type of way? Of course not. Even when you're in regular clothes, you just can't come in any type of way. A man can't or a woman can't come in a clown suit going to a 9-to-5 job, literally. So you can't dress anyway. It's called distraction. And it should be implemented in the school as well. Some schools have that I call soft dress code, but it needs to be enforced a lot harder. Not necessarily everyone in the uniform. It don't have to be a uniform type of school necessarily, but it definitely needs more of a stronger code. So that is what where I'm gonna leave it as that. There's many other topics, many other subjects. I mean, I could expand on, but I'll leave it as that. Like, subscribe, and share to the Greatness 19 channel, Mr. Evolution of London, both on YouTube. The Oracle 19 podcast, we pre-recorded every Monday. Monday and Thursdays, but we do have our news channel every Sunday morning. Definitely check us out as well. And keep passing the information worldwide to your family and friends. A lot of this information is not really discussed and not really the information I have over 600 shows on this podcast. It's a lot. A lot of different topics, if the people, especially people that have been following me for a while, it's not on one particular thing. So, which I don't focus on one particular thing. I really don't, because life, so much things going on in life. So, for example, I'm not going to be just talking about women this and women that and women's. No, it's so much stuff out here to be talked about that is very important, aka the school system, aka the economy, aka just our health, parenting skills, children's skills, what's going on in America, the drugs and that's running rampant. There's so many different topics, racism, so many different topics. What's out here in the skies? Unidentified flying objects. Oh, so many different topics. So that's why the foods that we eat. It's so many different topics. So if you check my history, it's not about one thing. Some things I have to repeat because it depends what people ask me. What some people email me. So I follow that code sometimes. But it's so much stuff, kids, and we have a lot to learn as humans. So let's focus. Y'all guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.